Hey folks, this is episode 6, part 1 of a 2-part episode. I'm going to finish the metalwork on the top of this 37. I've got to finish the inside driver's garnish molding and then move to the passenger side so I can finish the door top and the roof section on that side. That way we can move on to some other stuff I want to do. This will be an ongoing project. I plan on driving it at some point, so let's get into it. Alright, we're going to finish up, see if we can get these garnish moldings finished up on the inside. I've got a piece of metal here that you can see that I've already cut kind of to shape here. That'll fit in the hole. I've still got to cut this piece here, but this one here I cut out of an old piece of the door pillar, and it's got the right curves I need. I'll need to bend it down a little bit to fill that gap, but once I get that there and this piece in here, this side will be ready to pretty much go where I can fit glass and that kind of stuff. So we're going to do that now. Alright, we've got our piece kind of tacked in here a little bit. I got to line it up a little bit better right there. Let's see it right there? I got to get it lined up a little bit better there. And then once I get that, tack that in, and then I'll get it welded up. Alright, we've got this pretty much filled in right here. I've got a few little spots I can touch up, but I'll do that when I do my final finish work on everything. But it looks pretty decent. Now we just need to fill in this hole here. Once we get that filled in, all the garnish molding area will be pretty much done. Alright, I've got my piece of metal here where I'm making this patch to go in here. Getting it kind of roughed in. It still has some fitment issues. I've still got some fitment issues here, but I've got to try and bend this area right here. I don't know if you can see, but there's a step right there. And I've got to bend that into this piece here and then trim all this up and grind it down so it fits in the hole better. But should fit kind of like that once it's in there. So let me see if I can get some marks, rough estimate marks. Kind of there. Fender here. Kind of see my line there that I drew by hand. And I'm gonna put these on it pretty close. It's pretty close. I'm going to trim it off and grind in the sides here and file some of this down so it fits in there, and then we'll weld that in. Alright, I'm going to cut this off. There we go. See how close we are here. Now, I'm going to flatten this out just a little bit. Getting close. A little more trimming. Just a little happy trim right here. There we go. There we go. Let's see if I can knock this corner off right there. And I switched between left and right-handed aviation snips just because it makes it easier to cut certain directions. So it's handy to have both left and rights, and I even have some center mount ones, but I don't use them quite as much, just for general cutting. All right. Trim that inside there just a little bit. Grind that out, and then we should be good to go. Let's see if I can bring you guys over so you can kind of see. Fits pretty close. I'll have to trim up here and then get this welded in. I'm going to use my rotary tool here to kind of clean this up. Hopefully that's close enough. We'll see here. Oh yeah, that's a lot better. Yeah, that's a lot. Whoops, that's a lot better. Fits in there nice and fairly tight. So should be able to. Hopefully you can see that. Fits pretty good. Now I'll get this tacked in and get it welded up. Alright, I'm gonna get this. I've got a couple little tacks on it. There's probably better ways to do this, better equipment, I know, but this is what I've got right now. So I'll try to get it in here. Oh, that weld wasn't very good. Alright, we've got this most of the way welded up. I still got to touch up these edges here and get some stuff out of there, but I've got this welded up. Now all we've got to do, I've got to weld this up and around here, and then once that's all welded up and smoothed out, this door jamb will be pretty close to finish. I got a few low spots, little small spots here and there. I'll probably pick them out here after a while, and then we should be good to go. Alright, we've got this welded up. I'm going to grind this down and make this flush right here, and once we get that done, then pretty much inside of this door garnish molding and everything should be pretty close to being finished, other than some little minor defects that I can fix at a later date. Alright, we've got it mostly ground. I've got to pick out a few little spots right here. They're a little low still, but I can do that later. And I've got a few little spots right there, but that's just detail work that can be done after I get ready to paint it. So it's looking pretty good. Everything's nice and solid. The window goes up in here like it should, and we should be about ready to get the other side finished. All right, folks, we're gonna see if we can finish up the rest of this chop tonight. I need to get the door tops done on this side, and need to fill this gap and the roof up. I need to get this kind of done so I can roll it out of the shop. I've got some other projects I need to get in here, and then I'll get back on this because we've got to do chassis work, and I need to raise this cab up a little bit. The mounts are bad on it, and so it's sitting a little too low on the chassis for me to put the running boards and the fenders back on. They're mock-up right now, so we're going to get to this stuff, try to get it knocked out, and that way we can get to some new stuff. So, alright, I've got my piece of sheet metal here for this gap. I'm going to see if I can get my bends like I did the other side and get them bent up and get this thing welded together. So, get my tool here. Alright, let me get a marker here. This is just a extra piece of sheet metal I had that fit the gap. Put this on it here where you can see. Don't mind that mark. This is actually some sheet metal I was using for another project. So, but we're gonna put the jaws just a little shy of it because you lose a little bit when you bend it. And then I'll try to bend it over and then see about how far we need it in here. Marker. One more from it. I may have started bending this a little wrong, but I'll figure it out. It's just sheet metal. It's easy enough to fix. It's kind of like clay. You can just shape it and mold it. Now, it's not saying it's easy, because it's definitely not sometimes, but it's not too bad. Alright. Stuff all over me. We're just trying to make kind of an S shape. That's kind of how the sheet metal in here is made. Right there. Cicadas and locusts seem to be going to town out there. I don't know how the sound's going to be on it. But between that and the fans, because it's 110 degrees in the shade, things not really, but it's pretty hot. Hole there pretty good. Some more marks on it. Good. Alright. So this part here, I need to kind of bead roll that just a little bit. So I'll probably run over and go to the bead roller and run that across real quick, some step dies, because this drip rail actually kind of sits inset right there in this sheet metal that that was cut out where it was split. So I'll have to get that lined up. So alright, I'm going to go run this through the bead roller real quick. If you've watched my other video where we started the other side, you can see how I did that. I'm not going to bore you with all that just right now. I'm going to go ahead and get this knocked out, and then we'll start shaping the rest of it. Alright, I've got my piece of sheet metal here. We're going to see about getting it welded in there. I've run it through the bead roller a little bit. Didn't need a whole lot, but as you can see right here by my thumb, we've kind of got it close to shape where we need it. And then this top part up here, I'll probably just shape by hand since it's such a small part that's got to go in here. I can get it pretty close that way. So considering this truck's 87 years old, it's not in perfect shape. The roof did have some dings and dents. I pulled a lot of them out in the roof, but it's still got some sheet metal warpage in some spots. Some of it I'm hoping to cut out, so shouldn't be a big issue, but let's get this welded up. Alright. See if we can at least get it tacked in where it needs to go. Sorry if I'm blocking the camera. It's kind of hard to video and look at what I'm doing. it in a little bit. And then I'm gonna have to mark it and cut the top off with the aviation snip. That way it'll fit down in the hole. I've already got my channel that I made welded in here. It still needs to finish welding on the bottom in a few spots, but good enough to hold these sections in. Once I get this in, I can take this piece out so that way I can open the door and get the rest of it made. Guess I could use gloves. Make it a lot easier. Got a plane right there. Get some snips, and depending on which way you're needing to make your sheet metal cut, some of you that are just starting out doing stuff like this may not know this, but these aviation snips, see how it's got the red handles, and I've got some that are green, and they make some that are yellow. Well, depending on a lot of them, I don't know that all of them are, but one is a right hand, and then there's a left hand, and then there's a center. I don't use the centers a whole lot. They've got a little bit different angle. They're kind of straight up and down, whereas these kind of crook to the side on these green ones, and then the red ones do the same thing. And depending on, like, I need this piece here, this top piece to come off, and if you try to cut it like this, it'll tend to want to either peel this up or bend this down, and I don't necessarily want it bending down. So what I'll do is try to figure out which side I need that looks like it'll cut it the way I want it to cut, which is probably these right here. There. I don't know if you can see it, how it's curling up. Like that comes off, and it doesn't really warp the sheet metal right there too much. Now, I don't know that I got that cut exactly straight. A lot. But I do a lot of the sheet metal work I use with these. I've got other tools I use too, but these work pretty good. I was going to round these corners and stuff off on this, but this is such a small piece, I don't think it's really going to matter that much. Although I am going to snip the area off. Alright, let's bring you up here where you can see. I've got to trim just a little bit off this edge right here. And these tacks aren't super great, but they'll hold for right now until I get to finish welding it. So we're going to see right here. See if I can cut that edge right there off. Pull this up with my finger a little bit. Let's see if we can do this one-handed. Not messing it up too bad. There we go. Yeah, fits better. Pushing it down in there. Fits pretty good. All right. I'm gonna see if I can get this tacked up, push down in there a little bit. We're gonna tack these edges in, and then that way this part here will be pretty close, so I can make these inner pieces. We'll get it all welded up. You want to push this, I'm going to push this down until the sheet metal's flush, because we want the curve to go with this curve. So, and then I'm going to put some tacks in here, and then we'll move on up as we go. All that needs to be hammered. Probably better ways to do this, but this is how I'm doing this one right now, because I just need to get this stuff knocked out so we can move on to the next project. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and get this, I'm going to grind these spot welds and see if I can get this welded up some. And then we'll come back to see if we can get to these drip rails here and see if I can get the drip rail done. And then once we move on to that, we'll get these sections here done. So I'll bring you guys back when I get done with that. All right, we've kind of got it welded up. It's not perfect. I've got some low spots right here that I need to tap out from the back side. But that's nothing I'm too worried about right now. We've got this done. I need to make the drip rail right here and get this done. I'm fixing to cut this brace out right here. I don't need it, that way I can open the doors. I accidentally smacked it right here the other day, and so it's bent in, and I need to fix that before we do the door tops or anything like that. So I'm gonna see if I can get that cut now. Alright, there we go. We'll grind those two spots down and we'll be good to go. Guess I can see if the door's still open. Maybe. Well, hang on. Let's see all I got. Oh yes, there we go. Well, I need to hammer that out. So I messed it up. That was this. Not exactly the right dolly, but there it was. Alright, that door shuts good. I wish the driver's side had been as easy as this side was, because it was in pretty bad shape. In fact, I swapped doors on that side. Well, alright. Let's see. I need to find my piece that I can make in here, like I did the other side, and figure out what I did with that. And we'll get that cut down, and I'll start getting that welded in here. Alright, if you can see right here, this is the garnish molding that goes inside the cab on the inside there. It works pretty good. It's got a real similar shape, if you can see, to the drip molding there, except for here at the bottom. So I'm going to actually use a piece of it, because I needed to cut this down anyway for the chop. I've got it kind of marked right there so you can see. I'm going to cut this end and then cut that off, and then use the middle, and I'll flatten that bottom bead out. That way I can add an extra piece of sheet metal to it, so I can make this outside part here curve all the way around. So we'll do that real quick and get it started. All right, here's my little piece that you can see. I'm gonna have to, I need to clean it up. It's kind of rusty, but I've got it cut kind of generally in the shape there. You can kind of see I need to grind the back edges. Well, it's hard to see because I've got a bunch of extra stuff here that I need to grind off, but these edges actually go up higher than the middle section right here, and so I'm gonna have to kind of grind one of them down just a little bit so it fits that top edge a little better. And then I'll flatten this out. I'll just hammer and dolly this bottom part out, flatten it out, and then bend it over so that it'll come up in here, and then I'll weld a little section to come around the edge, and the drip rail will be done, and that'll be done once I get it all welded in. So I'm gonna clean this up with a wire wheel and my little sander, and then we should be one step further. So let me do that, and then I'll come back and we'll see about stitching this in. All right, here's our piece. I've got it mostly cleaned up. I just flattened the bottom edge right here so you can see where the roll is. And I took the bottom part out. Dang, these bugs. Mosquitoes are bad about tonight. I took the roll out and left this one, and I kind of cleaned up the back edge. Kind of see how I flattened it out and made this a little bit smaller so it fits in here. It looks like it fits pretty good. It fits pretty flush. So we'll get that welded in, and then I'm going to bend this bottom part. I don't know. Alright, and then this bottom piece right here, I'm going to try and see if I can get it bent up once I get the sides over here welded up. And then we'll work on the rest of that, and this should be done. Alright, let's see if I can get this tacked in here a little bit. I don't know if y'all have horse flies where y'all are at, but we do down here. Man, those things hurt when they bite you. Alright, let's see if I can shoot a couple small tack welds in here. It's kind of hard to clean the rust out of there very well, but got that kind of in there. Bend this up just a little. Alright, we've kind of got it in there. I'm going to see if I can get a pair of channel locks and needle nose to bend this edge up here, and then see if I can get my grinder in here. I may have to peel these back a little bit so I can get a grinder in there and smooth that off and clean this up, get the soot off of it. But then we'll have that inner piece in, and then make this little sheet metal here. Alright, as you see here, I've got the sheet metal, the drip rail kind of peeled back. It's not a good way to do this, but it's how I'm doing it now. I've got a couple of tacks down inside here and on the corners there because there's a ridge right here, and I needed it to be even with that. And then we're going to bend this down and then put a few tacks down there and then bend it back up. It's kind of a I don't know, it's not the greatest process. Better process would probably have been to drill the spot welds and pull the drip rails off and just make all new ones, but I don't really have the time to do that, and this truck isn't that kind of truck that I'm willing to spend the time on right now. I'm just trying to build a kind of home-built hot rod. So all right, let's see if we can get some pliers here to bend this down a bit. Alright, well, that's not the greatest. I need to probably put back something up, hammer and dolly that real quick, and then we'll put a couple of tacks once I get that done, and then we'll roll this up. I left it long, that way I can cut it off and finish welding this up once I get the drip rail back smooth like it is in these parts. So, alright, let me get this done, and we'll come right back. Alright, I've kind of got this ground out with the Dremel tool. It still needs some more work in there. I'm going to do that with the die grinder after I get this bent up, but I'm going to show you how I've got this. I've got it tacked and kind of ground down a little bit there, and on the inside here we're going to bend this back up. Not super hard to do usually. Just kind of work it up gently. Whoops, looks like I got that one a little too hard. But you just kind of work it as you go. Let's see my other pliers here. Alright, check it there. A little pop there. There we go. We're going to throw a little tack right here and here. That way we can continue to bend. Let me do that real quick. Alright, well, that's not the greatest, but we'll go with it. Alright, I need to try and see if I can get my dolly back behind it and hammer that out a little bit. Let me do that. And knock everything off the top of the cab. Weld that, and once we get that done, fix this top edge right here, and that drip rail will be in for the most part. Hit it with my little orbital sander. Blend that in. Well, this ain't the right sander to blend that in, but get this kind of there you go. Got you a drip rail for the most part, so I've got a little cleanup work to do in there and a little bit under here, but not bad. And then that's pretty much done. We just got this section. It's getting pretty late. I think I'm gonna try to finish this tomorrow. I only get to work on this in the evenings anyway after work, so we'll see if we can catch this up tomorrow and get this section done. And once we get that done, get these door tops on, or this door top, this is the only one left. And this cab will be chopped, and I cut this bracing out, and then I can see if I fit in it. I'm pretty sure I can, because the last one I had was chopped 5 inches. This one's only 4 inches or so, so I shouldn't be too bad. So, all right, we'll be back tomorrow.